last time on Oz Hour.
So last time on Oz Hour, the gang meets a lazy quadling who they convince him to not be lazy and make them a little raft out of all their supplies that they have. And the wife comes home, is pissed, but somehow they convince her that it's fine. And they go into a river, and then the river goes back and forth, because no lazy quadling fucking told them that was happening. And then they hook onto a fish because they're like, we gotta go. Like, we can't be going back and forth like this. And so they hook onto that fish and they start going, and they make their way somehow to the Winkies where they see the Tin Woodsman and they get the drop of oil from him. And then what else do they do? Oh my God. Oh yeah, they ask about the butterfly, and he's like, oh hell no, you're not touching no butterfly in my country. And so they're like, ooh, boo-hoo, and go to Emerald City. And then something happens where everyone is just like happy now, and then she's like, oh, actually it's fine. Oh no, they go to Glinda, and Glinda fixes everything and makes everyone whole again. Everyone is alive, everyone's straight, everyone is happy, and that's the end of it.
Hi there, and welcome to episode 43 of Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be beginning Book 8, Tik-Tok of Oz, covering chapters 1 through 3.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone.
And Wyatt Sling.
And joining us as always is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Aguirre.
Buenos tardes.
Nice.
That is the afternoon.
Hannah, you just played last time on where you recapped what happened at the end of Book 7, The Patchwork Girl of Oz. That took you 1 minute and 10 seconds, but the last time on the first episode of a new book doesn't really matter. So, well done. 1 minute, 10 seconds is great.
Yay.
Also, just for the record, I will say Ozma didn't make everyone straight at the end of the last book. They can still love who they love.
Yeah, only the crooked magician.
Everything's better now.
everyone.
She made everyone straight. And I was like, whoa.
Also, Glinda didn't do anything. It was the Wizard of Oz. But still.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm not used to him doing magic.
I know. Hopefully he never will again. But
Also, as usual, Hannah attempted to summarize the entirety of our previous book, The Patchwork Girl of Oz. So stay tuned after the credits for that treat. How long was that?
3 minutes and 40 seconds.
It is so funny. I think you literally said ... at one point.
Yeah, that was at least a minute and a half of it. So
I struggled.
yeah.
Before we started recording, Wyatt, what did you whip up?
Yeah, tonight we are drinking Queen Anne. The recipe for which you can find on our Instagram at Oz Hour Podcast. It is cognac, some fresh squeezed orange and lemon juice, and that's about it. And some honey.
It has no scent. Is it poisoned?
Well, I don't know. How did Queen Anne die?
Let's slurp. I don't know. How did Queen Anne die?
Book 8, Tik-Tok of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Published in 1914. Chapter 1, Anne's Army.
So we begin with Anne, who is shouting, I
He's
won't.
gonna die.
But she's like, I won't sweep the floor. It's beneath my dignity.
Yeah. We begin with an argument between two sisters. So Anne is saying, I'm not going to sweep. It's below my dignity. And her younger sister, Sally, is like, well, you have to sweep. You're the eldest. You're the head of the family. So you have to sweep. It's a really strong cold open.
It's a strong cold open. Also, we're going Sally?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so it's spelled Salye. So I kept reading it like Tevye. I was like, her name is Sally.
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 Sally. We have to talk about that spelling though.
Yeah.
But Anne doesn't want to sweep, and she's like, I am the queen of Oogaboo. She's
Don't call me that.
What did you call me?
But she does feel she's too good to sweep, even though Oogaboo is the smallest and poorest kingdom in the land of Oz.
Yes.
So you might be thinking, what could that possibly mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because as we know, Oz does not have kingdoms there within. Although
Ozma rules all.
Yes, Ozma rules all. There should be no queens. Is Oogaboo in the land of the Quadlings? Is it in the land of the Winkies? Is it its own little thing? Well, who knows?
learn
Not us.
That Oogaboo is located up in the mountains, far on the outskirts of the land of Oz, and all of the people out there, like, they know Ozma exists. They know that Ozma's their ruler, but they don't leave Oogaboo. They don't go to the Emerald City. They never see Ozma.
Yeah, they're just happy where they are, and they know that Ozma rules over them because they are in Oz. But it's just they're on the very
isn't
outside.
that like the same thing with like Bunny Bird? Or wait, that wasn't in Oz.
Yeah, well, those are like
That
in
is
Oz,
in
but they're
Oz.
like
It is in
they're like
Oz?
Yeah.
wild places where I feel like the people don't know about Ozma in like those areas.
Well, they did know about. Well, they did, yeah, because in Bunnybury they had the statue of Glinda and of Ozma, I think.
Oh, and everyone wanted to go to her party. That's right.
Yeah.
Down there. The utensils didn't
That's
know.
true.
Yeah, the utensils didn't know who Ozma was.
But they had the King Rabbit.
Yeah, they had a king.
Yeah.
You're right.
I
King
think
Rabbit.
that's his
I think
name.
that's what it's called. Yeah. But they basically just like they have their own royal family. So Anne and Sally's family, as a matter of pride, just like they're way out in the middle of nowhere. They want to feel like they've got some structure and they've got like someone advocating for them in their town or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. And, Ozma has, like, she allows kings and emperors. Like, the Tin Woodman is emperor of the Winkies. Like, we know that.
As
like,
long as they know who wears the pants.
yeah, like, they all report to Ozma. So it's fine. So it's basically just that kind of deal. And the king of Oogaboo was Joel Jempkif Soforth.
His name is my name too.
Joel
not gonna remember
Jempkif
that.
Soforth. Well, good news. He ruled for many years, but then he got tired of his wife because he hated her, and then he crawled over the mountain into Oz and was never seen again. Yeah, he fled.
What? He crawled over the mountain?
Yeah.
So, wait, how long ago was this?
Well, okay, so that's a good question.
So the queen waits a few years before she's like, I need to go get this guy back. And so
Yeah.
she goes off looking for him. I don't know how recently that was, but when she goes off looking for him, she leaves Anne in charge as queen.
So, this is interesting, and I wonder if maybe you had a different take on this. But what we're told, it's not clear how old Anne is or how long she's been in charge. So we're told.
Is Oogaboo even real?
I don't know. Well, okay, so
it's in everyone's imagination.
It's doing this weird thing where I'm like, and there's some other things that we're gonna run into that are like kind of tied into this, but it's like making this weird timeless thing happen where it's as if time doesn't change because it's like, oh, like Prince or Queen Anne, like she like loves to celebrate her birthday party, but she doesn't know how many she's had. She doesn't know how old she is.
She stopped counting because people in Oz live forever.
Yeah, they live always.
She's had enough birthdays to have lost count.
And does that mean that it's been 100 years since her mother left and she's just a girl queen of Oz? Is she what? I mean, it's unclear, but what we are told is that
questions.
she's old enough to make jelly.
Yeah, he says. Yeah. She's old enough to make jelly, so we'll leave it at
Literally
that.
so many ages.
So,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
So
what
many
I'm thinking.
ages can make jelly.
Yeah.
But
So
here's the thing: Anne does not make jelly.
no.
As a matter of fact, Anne doesn't lift a fucking finger to do any housework, and that is why she does not want to sweep. She's very ambitious, and she hates that Oogaboo is so small and so poor and so full of stupid people. And she's also jealous that her parents are off somewhere in Oz while she's stuck here being queen of Oogaboo.
Yeah, she suspects that they may have left, found it was so nice out there that they stayed.
They're never coming back. Oh,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually kind of scary.
It is, yeah, especially if like they've been waiting for 100 years. Who knows?
But Anne just like looks at Sally and she's like, I'm leaving Oogaboo. It bores me. I'm sick of it. I'm out of here. And Sally's just like, suit yourself, but you'd be a fool to leave.
Yeah, and she has a good reason because she's like, in Oogaboo, you're the queen, and once you leave Oz, or once you like go into the rest of Oz, you're nobody. Like you're just like a citizen. Like you have nothing out there. Like why would you leave here where you're literally a queen? Which I think is a good argument generally.
So when the other people left, they just went into Oz. They just left Oogaboo.
They just climbed off the mountain.
Yeah, it would
Oh,
literally be like,
okay.
oh, like I'm gonna go like leave Oregon and go to Washington, but like I'm
Okay.
still in the rest of the U.S.
I thought
I'm just
they
not in
left
Oregon.
Oz, and I was like, no one.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
no
Oz
one
will not
leaves
take them
Oz.
back.
No one is leaving Oz. There is a magical barrier
Mhm.
administered by Glinda the Good.
Yeah, so they're just in Oz. But Anne's like, oh yeah, great. Like I'm the queen of 18 men, 27 women, and 44 children. How glamorous. These are the exact numbers of people who live in it.
God.
Yeah, and it does change
Thought
the picture.
those were like your exaggerated numbers.
No, but it does kind of change it because I'm like, yeah, like I guess that does kind of suck that like your kingdom is tiny,
That
but
is
like
not enough people to live all the way out there with.
No.
Well,
Oh, the gene pool must be shared. Must be shared.
that's why I was like, how do they procreate?
Family tree
Yeah.
goes straight up.
Family tree, yeah, no branches on that.
No branches.
Yeah, but so there's a lot of questions, but Sally is basically just being mean, and she's like just being like a mean younger sister, and she's just like, yeah, well, maybe with all those people, you could like form a little army and like take over Oz yourself. I'm gonna go swing in the hammock in the backyard.
So she's a war leader.
Yeah.
I want to write like a radio drama of this, and I want you to play Sally. That reading was perfect. You did that cold.
Yeah, that was good.
So Sally goes out to swing in the hammock, and Anne has an idea. I mean, even in Oogaboo, everyone knows that Oz is a peaceful country, and everyone listens to Ozma only because they love her, not because they're scared of her. And everyone knows that the entire army of the Emerald City is 27 officers with beautiful uniforms, but no weapons. And everybody knows that when the Gnome King and all those phantasms and shit attacked Oz, Ozma refused to fight.
Who's everyone?
I don't know. Well, 18 men, 27 women, 44 children.
All the way out in the
Sally
middle of
and Anne.
fucking nowhere.
They all know this
What are the people in the
information?
metro areas
The
know?
phonograph. He's back.
The phonograph is back. But
TikTok,
he is.
TikTok's not here yet.
We don't even know if he'll appear, to be honest.
The book is... The book. I'm sorry.
Okay, you know, you say that, but Ozma of Oz had almost no Ozma in it.
All right, well, that's true.
Touche.
So anyway, but yeah, basically she's just like I imagine her just like pacing around her like living room, and she is just like bubbling over with ideas because she's like, okay, yeah, like Ozma is like weak and gentle. She's not gonna be able to do anything. The only soldier in her army, the private, was promoted to captain general, and his gun got taken away in case it would hurt somebody. So they're not even armed. Like,
How do they have all this information?
I don't know,
Who
honestly.
is bringing...
It's political news.
But it is.
Here's the thing. I mean, we know. We read the book.
We do
I guess
know.
we're in the know.
Here's the thing. It is very important to note that Oombi-Ambi used to have a gun. He turned that gun in to Ozma, and that's the only gun, as far as anyone knows of. No more guns
Okay.
in the Emerald City. Don't show a gun in Act 1 unless you're going to fire it in Act 3.
Yeah, so we'll see who has a gun at the end of this. That's all I'll say.
Ooh,
But yeah, remember that well.
gun.
But the thing is, Anna's thinking big too, because she's like, okay, I can defeat Ozma, and then after I have the power of Oz under me, I'm going to conquer all the surrounding nations, and then I'm going to get a ladder and go to the moon, and I'm going to conquer the moon, and then we're going to conquer the world. And she's just going off.
Girl.
L.
Oh
Frank
my
Baum
God.
invented the villain who wants world domination and to
Yes.
steal the moon.
Literally. He's taking it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like, that would actually be quite easy. And she's like, I only have 18 men in my kingdom, but if they have weapons and the element of surprise, I'm going to kick the Emerald City's ass pretty easy. They'll be scared. We'll just threaten them.
Yeah. She thinks they can overtake. But also importantly, Anne doesn't want any bloodshed. She doesn't want to like kill people.
She's too queasy.
She's like, I would faint. But she wants to shock
Be there
them.
then?
She wants to scare them. What'd you say?
I was like, just don't be there then. Have everyone else do your battle.
Yeah. She's going to have to go, though. There's only 19 or
I guess
18
that's
people.
true.
19, including her. But anyway.
She's like, regardless of the outcome, can't be any worse than sitting around in Oogaboo. So
yeah.
let's make an army today. What the heck?
Yeah.
She really just convinced her quick.
Yeah, Sally needs to shut
She
that
was
little
just gonna
mouth of
go.
hers.
She was just gonna have a little adventure, and now all of a
Yeah.
sudden, war.
Yeah.
In the end, we find out that this was Sally's plan all along.
Yeah. And she has the gun.
She has a gun.
Looking for this?
Yeah.
Blackout.
But something I would characterize as interesting happens.
Uh-oh.
Because Anne goes out into the world, into Oogaboo, to meet all the men and tell them they're going to join the army. Going to join the army.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
That's just like drunk history.
Yeah,
Oz edition.
it is. I drink a lot, way too much of my drink so far.
I'm gonna need you to come and join my army.
So she's just walking down the path, and she runs into Joe Apple. And he is called Joe Apple, spelled J-O, because he has an apple orchard. So, okay, his job is
Joe
apples.
Apple.
Yeah,
Joe
makes
Apple.
sense. And she invites him to join the army.
Yeah, Joe's like, oh, don't ask me to do something crazy like that, my queen, because I'd have to refuse.
Oh.
And she's
Well,
like,
this is a draft.
Yeah,
exactly. She's like,
She's
well,
like-
I actually command you to join the army.
And he's like, well, okay, then I guess I'm doing that.
Oh,
but
he
he
yeah.
just wants his little apple farm.
I know.
Well, that's the thing. Like, all these guys, like, they just want to farm, and like, we'll learn that like some of them are like, fuck you, fucking, what's your name, queen?
Yeah,
And,
we'll get there.
yeah, I'm very in the lead.
1914.
1914.
What's going on?
I
Dust
know
Bowl?
what war was there.
What is it?
The Dust Bowl.
Oh, you're right.
Ish.
The Dust Bowl.
Maybe a little early. Great
You need to read
Depression.
Grapes of Wrath.
But he's like, okay, I am a very important citizen. Like, I do agree, I'll join your army, but you need to give me a high rank in that army.
And she's like, beautiful, general. You're general.
Yeah. He's like, do I get a sword? She's like, of course. He's like, okay, great, yeah.
Yeah.
let's do it.
Of course.
So I don't know if this is how it happens, and it probably isn't, but I imagine him following her as she goes to the next
She's just
place.
building her little army.
Yeah, but
I don't think so.
he probably just goes home.
He probably got his things in.
Yeah,
Packing.
she's probably like, you'll report to this office on Tuesday at
Yeah.
8 a.m.
Your country.
Tell your
thanks you.
family. Yeah,
Ugh.
but she goes on the way.
And next she comes to Joe Bunn, named so because his orchard grows graham
Is there
buns
going to be a
and
Joe
wheat
Biden
buns.
here?
Yeah, a tree
he grows
full of
Bidens.
Bidens.
So she's like, Joe, I'm going to conquer the world, and I command you to join my army. She didn't make the mistake of saying, I am asking you.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah.
I'm not asking anymore,
Um,
actually. I don't want
yeah.
anything to be confused.
But he's like, I have to stay here and tend to my bun crop. And she's like, have your entire fucking family do it, dude.
Yeah, she's like, have your wife and children go into the fields because you're coming with
Okay,
me.
so now he's making the women and children work.
Yeah.
He tells her, well, I am a man of great importance after all. And she's like, okay, fine, general, you get a sword. You
Yeah.
get a little cute little hat. He's like, okay. Yeah,
So now
sure,
we
I'll
have-
do
That
it."
would get me. Oh.
Sword and cute
A
hat.
little hot.
Yeah. But now we have General Bunn in the ranks as well. So she goes on and she meets another man by the name of Joe Cone.
What do you think he grows?
Cones.
Of.
Cones of.
It's easier than you think.
The only food you could think of with a cone.
I literally am only thinking of ice cream.
That's what
There you
it
go.
is. He grows
Ice
ice
cream
cream
cones.
trees.
It really is ice cream cones?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that was crazy.
Because it is.
Yeah, it is.
The
And-
last guy did grow like dessert trees, though.
Yeah, and
I guess
after the
that's
rest
true.
of these, you're gonna think it's less crazy.
Yeah, it gets weird.
Yeah, but Joe Cone, who has the ice cream cone orchard, she commands him to join, and he's like, "I'm really not a good fighter. You do not want me in your army." But his wife, he says, conquered him years ago, and so he should take her.
Anne tells him that she needs an army of men, only men. She needs a fierce, scary army.
Okay, bitch.
Yeah, but then
Damn.
Joe Cone is like, "Well, if my wife is being left behind, then I will go with you happily."
Yeah.
And she makes him a
my
general too.
God. I don't like
So
this
now we
guy.
have General Cone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next,
don't
she
forget him.
pays.
Everyone's generals?
So far,
So far.
she only has
Okay.
18. There's 3 generals so
Damn.
far.
Next, she
Who's gonna
pays
be
a
the corporal?
visit. She pays a visit to Joe Clock. Any idea what he might grow?
Clocks.
It's right
Yep.
there. Yeah.
Clocks. Yeah.
That's kind of
Don't know what kind.
So that's not food.
Yeah, I
No,
don't know
some of
how
these-
the hell he's growing that.
Some of these will not be food.
So he refuses to join. She tells him she'll make him a general. He agrees. He asks her how many generals she has, and she's like, "Well, there's 4 so far." And he's like, "Well, how big's the army gonna be?"
Yeah, 18. There's only 18 men. So he's like, okay. He's like, yeah, that's enough generals, actually. You should just make everybody else a colonel then.
Yeah.
That's good. And I'm like, okay, wait, 4 generals and 14 colonels.
Like, what does that
Yeah.
even
That's
mean? You guys are
crazy.
anything.
You're nothing. You're
Yeah.
all privates.
Yeah, literally, you're all just privates right now.
Anne tries to take this advice though because she wants everyone to say yes, and so she goes to Joe Plum, Joe Egg, Joe Banjo, and Joe Cheese. She makes them all colonels. Then she goes to Joe Nails.
And at this point,
Excuse me?
Joe Nails says that generals.
Is it like nails?
Likes tools.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we
I
assume.
assume it doesn't really.
We
It's
don't.
like, what
yeah.
does he have? Some fucking.
He's
got
He's
these,
like a little nail
Ripley's
tech.
Believe It or Not, like curly nails.
Yes.
Oh my God.
God.
No, probably just normal golden nails. But he says that generals and colonels are becoming far too common in the army, and he wants to be a major. So she's like, fucking
sure.
cool. So Joe Nails is a major, Joe Cake is a major, Joe Ham is a major, and Joe Stockings is a major. So now she has 4 majors. So for the folks keeping count at home, there are 4 colonels, 4 majors, and 4 generals. God, sorry.
Yeah.
I got
4
confused.
generals, 4.
4 generals, 4 majors, 4 colonels, and that's 12
That's
of our
12.
18.
Yeah.
So the next 4, Joe Sandwich, Joe Padlocks, Joe Sunday, and Joe Buttons, they were appointed as captains. Okay, that's 16 of our 18.
Yeah. So there are only 2 men left now. So there's going to be maybe a little bit of a power dynamic thing because
Yeah.
she's like, okay, then
Captain.
well, okay. Wait, there's already 4 captains though.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You're just saying a word you heard. But the next one is lieutenant. But she's like, okay, like, well, if there's only 2 lieutenants and there's going to be like a weird like thing where everyone's going to want to be lieutenants then. And so she's kind of worried about it.
She's
These
like,
are
I could have.
children.
Yeah.
This is a not. This is a child's dream right now. we're like in their imaginary play. They have all their
Yeah.
little toy
This
soldiers.
is them
Yeah.
playing on the playground, but they're all playing a different game.
Yeah.
So she's nervous that there's going to be like an all-out mutiny because of the jealousy. But one of the men, Joe Candy, that she goes and talks to, he outright refuses.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going. I'm responsible for the entire candy harvest for this entire country, and I am not going to disappoint every child here. I have fucking sweet buns to harvest. I
Lemon
have
drops.
Yeah, licorice trees.
Cracker Jack and buttered corn.
Yeah,
Oh.
buttered popcorn.
Buttered popcorn.
Yeah, not just corn.
I even wrote popcorn. I did. But she's like, not even for a sword? And he's like, no, it's not happening.
Yeah,
He's
he's
like,
in it for the
He's
kids.
like, let it go. It's not happening.
Yeah.
She gives up. She's like, fuck you, Joe Candy. You know what? Remind me to execute you when I'm the queen of the world.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm queen of the
So
world.
she decides, let him have his way, and she goes to see the 18th and final man, Joe Files.
Hi, Joe Files.
Yeah.
He's hot for some reason.
No,
You know,
actually,
you're gonna just wait.
I think he might be.
So it's files like nail files. Or like nail files, or like files like a big file you'd use to like file down. Like
Oh, is
something
that
big.
what it was?
I was like,
Yeah.
I
damn.
thought it was big file cabinets.
No.
It was big file cabinets. They all contain different like things. Because he also grows books.
So what?
Wait, is there a picture?
Not
don't
on any
know.
of the trees.
Hold on, can we take a brief pause while I go to the book? Okay, so I just looked at the book and it is files like what Wyatt said.
No. But he does also have 9 book trees that just grow books.
And we don't really get a description of all the other insane trees that grow in Oogaboo, but we do learn that like books are grown with a green husk around them that turns like dark red when it's ripe.
Like corn. And you have to like shuck it and pull the husk off, and then you have a book inside.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're making the craziest face.
I don't like it for some reason.
Yeah, it's kind of gross.
If they're picked too soon, then they are an L. Frank Baum book because they're,
Oh my God.
the plots are hard to follow and they're super confusing and the
Yeah.
spelling is bad.
If it's good, it's Twilight.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Maybe
saw
when it's,
some
like
weird
just
crap.
underripe. So Joe Files gives his books to anyone in Oogaboo for free, but the people of Oogaboo don't really care for books, so he has to read them all by himself before they spoil.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he doesn't just plant more file trees. That
Yeah.
seems like that's lucrative.
I guess. I mean, he could probably export the books, But I guess he can't do that because they
No,
spoil.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
So he has to read them before they go bad, because like as soon as you read them, they begin to like rot.
It's like when you open a
Yeah.
can or
Mhm.
something.
Exactly, yeah. It starts to oxidize and get all gross. So Anne goes to him and she's like, hey, like, we're making an army. I command you to join. And he's like, oh, actually, like, conquering the world sounds fun. Like, that sounds awesome. I'm
Oh.
happy to join you.
First
And-
person to be happy about
Yeah,
it.
yes. And we're told that he is like intelligent and ambitious and like he's kind of similar to Anne in those ways. He reads all the books. Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
And he's like, I don't want to be a general. I don't want to be a colonel, a major,
Wait, let me
a
think.
captain.
He's going to be a... What else is important? He's going to be I don't fucking know. A dictator.
Okay.
So the opposite.
Oh, no.
He says, I'm going to be a private. I'm going to be
Oh.
your one and only private. And she's like, no, my
That's hot.
army only needs my army only needs the top. My army doesn't need privates.
Yeah, she's like privates are the most common, and also like Ozma doesn't even have one anymore. So no, I actually don't
Okay.
want a private. But he's like, hey, privates fight the wars. Like they're the ones that win the wars. They're in the army. They represent
They're
it.
the frontliners.
Yeah, and he's like, and you're gonna fight. Your army has to fight to conquer the world, and I want to be that army.
Whoa.
And also, he does point out that the officers need someone to command. They can't all
Yeah.
just be like, there can't be no one on the bottom.
Oh, that's why that... Oh, my God. It's like that one
It is
fucking...
It's like Ombi Ambi.
Yeah, because they had one private too. And I was
Yeah.
like, why the fuck
then
do they have
he-
just one private?
He was the shit.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay,
But-
what's with old Frank Baum liking privates? I just realized how that sounds.
Oh my god. So Files tells Anne, like, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna fight like hell. I'm gonna take all the glory. Like, my storybooks tell me that like the ones who are the heroes are the ones who fucking fight. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna take all the marbles from all the little children and I'm gonna melt them down and I'm gonna make a marble statue of myself and I'm gonna erect
Just
it
a
in
bad
town.
joke.
Yeah, because
That's
marbles are
such
made
a
of glass.
And that's just like such a long, long way to get to whatever that even was.
Yeah, and
wants to
Anne's just
take-
like, mm-hmm.
Yes.
He wants to take from the children.
Yeah. But,
but-
Anne is pretty happy about
Yeah,
this.
she loves it. She's like, fine, put her there, partner. You're my private. He's happy. He's excited.
He's so
oh
excited.
My god, oh 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 my god.
He's so excited that he's like, you know what I'm gonna do?
Oh no.
I'm gonna go over to the gun tree, and I'm going to pick the biggest, ripest musket that I can. And Anna's like, yeah, you're gonna go pick a gun from the gun tree.
What?
And that is the end of chapter 1, Anne's army.
Is that fucking insane?
So they're just
or
growing
what?
guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing
And
is,
the
like,
kids can get to
he
him
even
too.
like
It's not
he
locked.
well, he kind of tells her it's not locked. He kind of tells her like he's like, oh, I know where there's a gun tree. So it's like it's not like it's in the middle of town or anything.
Yeah.
but still,
Common
anyone could
knowledge.
find it, and it can't be the only one.
It can't be.
I guess not.
Guns are not of God, L. Frank Baum.
There's a clock tree too.
Tom
so-
Tellin is of God.
No. Nails, files, filing cabinets, books.
Jesus was a carpenter.
Jesus. That's a gun.
And Blake, what would you call that?
Not Joe, Mama's Oz book.
Chapter 2. Out of Oogaboo.
Out
Yeah.
of Oogaboo. Da-da-doo-doo-doo-doo-ah.
That's my favorite
I
song.
love that song. I don't know why it obviously doesn't.
No.
know it.
We saw them live.
Yeah.
What are you talking
The
about?
octets.
No, it makes less sense the more you say.
Okay. So, Anne went around last chapter. She formed an army. And 3 days later, the Oogaboo Army assembles in the square in front of the royal palace.
Gleaming uniforms. Everyone has a sword.
They look so good. Who made these costumes?
I mean, you know.
Did she order them from Gildan?
Giving
Yeah.
Am I not supposed to say that?
I feel like that's maybe not like for the airwaves right now, honey.
God.
God.
Stop doing your tracks.
Yeah, a lot stopped. When
I
you
just
said
was,
that.
I just like had like a whole like conversation with myself about like, is this that show? Okay.
They are serving though, but they have their swords, except for the Private Files, who has the gun, and he's like swinging it around and being crazy, and all the officers are like actually low key scared of him.
They're afraid of him.
Yeah,
Oh my
they're like he's
God.
actually fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's
But
like-
he's just marching.
He wishes he could have found a bigger one, but he's like, don't worry, like I can make this thing look hot. And like
Yeah.
he's like,
And he did.
yeah, and this is where I'm getting the idea that like Files is young, Files is reckless, Files is probably hot.
High Files.
Hey, Files.
But all the wives are protesting.
Yes, they're actually protesting. It's like
Because they don't want to work the farm.
it's like Ella Enchanted, stop the ogre side.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely stop the ogre side. And they're like, you can't just take all of our men from home. Like
Yeah,
we
you
all
can't-
have to harvest our
you can't
chips.
take
we
our
have
husbands and our
kids,
fathers
we have
away.
things
Yeah.
that we need to grow.
But
And
Anne,
She tells him to shut up.
yeah,
And
she
there's-
tells him to shut the fuck
There's
up.
not a lot you can do when someone tells you to shut up. So they're
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay.
They just have to because she's the queen. She's like, you can't protest here. You're all arrested.
Oh my God.
Shut the fuck up. And then so they did shut the fuck up.
She's
And-
destroying her kingdom.
But she can talk like that because she looks so good.
Yeah.
She's wearing this like green uniform with a gold braid like all around it.
Ooh.
And she has like a green soldier's hat with a purple feather sticking out of it. She's like
Yeah.
giving Renaissance tour, but also she's wearing green and gold, which is like Emerald City colors, which is just so like
That is kind of
villainous.
funny.
I love that.
It's like she's like stomping in place with a whistle in her mouth, going work,
Cover girl.
and they are just
Oh.
marching.
She is a
around
cover
her.
girl. She looks hot. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
And she orders them to form ranks, and so
You're
they all
familiar.
run around.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
form rank.
I only got to form rank.
Oh, did they not tell you to do that in JRTC?
I don't know.
Um,
All I know is that I was a corporal.
Oh, is that above a
Nice.
colonel or is that below private?
It's below private.
Ooh,
I
You're
think maybe
nothing.
I got to a private.
maggot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, that's what they called me.
Oh, damn.
Really? That's like actual military.
No, I'm just
Then I
kidding.
actually am sorry because I didn't mean to trigger you. Trigger warning, maggot. Sally leans out of the palace window and she's like laughing at Anne's dumbass army because she knows all of these guys, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, that army looks like it runs better than it fights. And Joe Bunn is like, well, that's good. Like, I'm not looking for action. I just want plunder. I want treasure. Like, I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
Joe Files is like, I want to fight. I want carnage. Like, he is so
Yeah.
crazy.
That should have been the only man you left behind.
Seriously.
He's like licking his gun.
yeah.
He's like, let's go.
Yeah.
I would have to say though, if they did leave him behind, all those women would be dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, he's a danger wherever he is,
Yeah,
but a
whatever he
lesser danger
touches.
here. But yeah, he wants to conquer, he wants to plunder, he wants to do it all. And Anne is like, hey, you know what? Like, yeah, you have to fight to conquer, you have to conquer to plunder, and when you plunder, you come home a hero. So we are going to fight, conquer, plunder, come home heroes.
She said, the world will be mine. And then her army was like, oorah.
Yeah. Ooh, rah. But Sally is just still laughing.
Yeah. Anne says, see you later, Sally. And off they go. She says, when they return, they'll be famous.
Yeah.
Anne orders her army to march. They puff up their chests. Who's at the top?
Generals.
The generals swing their swords above their heads and they say, forward, march. And then the colonels do it. And then the majors and the captains do it. And
Why
then
are
the-
they so good at
and-
being an army?
I
I
don't
know.
know. They've
Where-
had 3 days and most of that was costume fitting.
Yeah, where'd
so-
you
Yeah.
learn all this?
Maybe
Um,
everyone was already a soldier in the Oogaboo Army for like 3 years, but they were on like non-active duty.
Peacetime.
Yeah, and now that it's war, they're coming back.
So they know the formalities already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. But Private Files, he just starts walking, carrying his gun ahead of everybody, and they all come after him. And Anne's in the back, and she's just like, this is fucking awesome. She's like, why didn't I choose to seek world domination like years ago? This rocks.
Wow.
And they're just walking up the mountain pass. You know, they have to go over the pass to get between the mountains to get into the rest of Oz. And that's the end of chapter 2 out of Oogaboo. And Blake, what would you call that?
The Oogaboo Odyssey begins.
Chapter 3, Magic Mystifies the Marchers. I just want to say from the start here that each of these chapters is an alliteration, because we had Anne's army out of Oogaboo, and now Magic Mystifies the Marchers. And just so you know, every chapter name in this entire book is an alliteration.
So Princess Ozma is, doing her thing in the Emerald City. She has no idea any of this is happening. She's just too busy being girl boss.
Yeah, she's just making sure her citizens are happy, living a good life, but she has no idea. But that's fine, because there actually is someone who notices this, someone whose kind of job it is to notice.
Glinda.
That is Glinda
Because
the
she
Good.
has her what?
She knows everything. The book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will note, she is, so we're told that she is the official sorceress, and she lives in this fantastic castle in the far north of Oz. But Glinda should be living in the south.
Yeah, Glinda's
because
Quadling.
she rules over the
Or Gillikin,
Quad.
Gillikin.
The Gillikins. No,
Quadling.
Quadlings.
Red. Quadling
Yeah.
red.
She rules over the Quadling country. So I don't know why her castle's in the north. However, maybe someone else is in charge of the south now.
Everybody's
and
been
Glinda is
moving.
the sorceress.
Yeah,
Everyone's
things
been
have-
moving all over.
Things have been
though.
changing.
Like
Lots of changes.
Everyone
Yeah.
has 3 houses. Maybe that's her summer house.
That's true.
That's her
You know,
son.
her palace could be there and she could still rule over the south because she does have that goddamn book. She has a book
Woo!
that, a magic book that records everything in the world that happens as it happens, from the smallest thing like a baby tripping to the biggest thing like a city burning to the ground.
And she reads her book every day. So I'm like, girl, how much are you reading? Is that
Yeah.
all she does?
It must be.
That's what I would be doing.
I guess so. But then it's like, okay, but
I'm
then
nosy.
you read 3 pages and it's like, oh man, that was all really boring shit. Like
Yeah.
it was literally just like, oh, like Frank took his medications and then he had an egg for
Well,
breakfast.
can't she just like move on to anyone? Be like, show me the most exciting thing happening.
Yeah, but she
right
knows
now.
all of
Maybe.
it. She reads all of it. She knows it
Yeah.
all. I don't
Oh,
know.
damn.
It must. The book probably takes really, really good notes, or she's
Yeah.
just like a rapid reader or something.
Yeah.
Magic.
It's magic. Yeah.
But she knows that Anne So Forth is invading Oz.
Yeah.
So Glinda's like, okay, like we could easily defeat this army. We are fucking Oz.
Yeah. They've seen worse than the army of Anne of So Forth.
But she has other ideas before war is going to break out.
She doesn't want to even mention it to Ozma. She's like, I'm not going to worry about that actually. And she decides to not tell Ozma about any of this. Glinda just goes into a chamber known as the Magic Room, and she does a ceremony. And basically, it makes, so the people of Oogaboo, the soldiers and Anne, are like going over the mountain pass, so through like a little canyon kind of deal. Well, like what, valley? But she makes it twist and turn and make its way outside of Oz. So she makes it so that it leads somewhere other than Oz.
Oh.
The people who are on the path don't notice. They don't feel it like moving or whatever. She just
they
like
walk for hours.
Yeah, they're walking for a long time.
Days maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I guess why not?
They get far away. They get
Yeah.
far off their track.
They make it to the end and they're looking around. Like they come like through the mountains. They're like, okay, cool. We're like into the land. But they're like, this doesn't really look like Oz. But none of them have ever been to Oz before.
So they don't know.
Yeah, it's
Right.
hard. But they know that it doesn't look quite right.
Yeah.
And so they turn around and the mountain pass is gone.
They're
There's nothing. behind it.
Marooned.
Yeah.
But Anne does the most baller fucking thing. And she's just like, well, this isn't Oz, but the plan wasn't just to conquer Oz. The plan was world domination. So let's go find somebody to dominate. And
Yeah.
they just are like, okay, yeah. She's like, she's like, wherever we are, it's in the world. Let's dominate, which is
Yeah.
just so fucking metal, honestly.
Yeah.
And off they go.
Yeah. It's all they can do, you know?
So they're walking
Yeah.
along, and Major Cakes is like, did we conquer this land?
and says yes. Yes, we actually
We're here, aren't we?
We have conquered this land as we walk upon it.
Yeah, she's like, whoever we find next, we'll tell them they're our slaves, that we've conquered this land, and that's that.
They're like the first white people coming to America.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
like,
exactly.
land? Mine.
Exactly.
oh, this is land? Yeah, we're going to take that.
I'm marking that.
Sorry.
Exactly. They're like, well, I hope like they have some good plunder for us to steal. Like, slaves are cool, but like, wouldn't it be nice to like have their treasures too? Which also, I guess I didn't think about this until now. If they capture slaves, they just build their army, right?
They would probably not have like people they'd enslaved fight for them because like obviously that person would just be like, hey, I actually fucking hate them, I'll join your side instead of stabbing
That's
you.
what I would do.
So let's
Fair.
turn, like, yeah.
Fair.
So I don't think it would join the
Can't
army.
trust me.
But support services, they could have them like chopping wood, building shelters, like doing things along the way, cooking.
True.
Anything that doesn't involve engaging an enemy. So you know.
True. It's true. A dead slave is a worthless slave. That's what Moses said.
That is what Moses said.
But Files, he's like, fuck the plunder. I want to fight. I want to kill. I want blood. And Anna's like, yeah, you know what, Files, I'm really starting to like you, homie.
Yeah, she's
You're-
into that.
Yeah, but she's like, but hopefully we won't actually need to fight anyone. Maybe we can just scare everyone and they'll like surrender. Maybe we'll find out we like that too. But at this point, they're they've entered this land, and we aren't given a whole lot of information about what it looks like. But from the impression I'm getting, it's kind of rocky. It's described as barren, so like there's just not a lot going on. It's kind of giving in like the Road to Oz, where Dorothy and like the Shaggy Man and the friends, like they weren't in the grassland anymore. It was like kind of like rocky desert right before those crazy things that tried to eat them. Anyway, it's
I'm
just
getting, like-
it's desolate.
I'm getting like a Mars.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Very Mars landscape, Eastern Oregon Badlands, something like that. So there's nothing. It's dusty, and they kind of hate it. And they are wandering around here for like 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days go by, and they're like lost in the wilderness. And I'm sorry to bring Moses back into this again. But I mean, come on. It's very Exodus. But after 3 days go by, I mean, Anne is getting like vicious toward the guys. She's bullying them. She's like giving them tongue lashings constantly.
God.
Morale is going way down.
Yeah. And some of the officers are starting to like clap back at her. They're like, you better fucking hold your tongue. Like, you don't talk to us like that. Like, you're the one that led us into this disaster. So like,
Yeah.
why would we let you talk to
They're
us like
just trying
that?
to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're trying to grow their trees, and now they're growing fucking death.
Resentment.
They're growing
with the
resentment.
world, mama. People living like they ain't got no mamas. Think the whole world's just addicted
Hey,
to the trauma.
You heard the opportunity to stop, and you didn't, and you know you should.
I wanted to see if she knew it.
I don't.
She didn't. She stopped because she didn't know it.
Files, however, is getting like this really good treatment from Anne. She kind of starts like confiding in him and planning with him exclusively and not talking to any of the other guys.
Well, because he's the only one that's not complaining. Like, all this bad shit that's happening to them, he's like, oh, like, whatever. Like, that's like, it's a challenge for him. So he's like meeting it with like a different attitude than everybody else. And she's like, you're the only fucking person who like is doing the thing I would want you to do, and the right thing, honestly.
He's
Like,
also the only one that like would have volunteered.
that's true. That's true. He's the only one that wanted to be there anyway.
Like I'm the other guy.
Yeah, she didn't have to bribe him.
Yeah.
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 I'm like, I don't want to do this. You're making me.
Yeah.
What am I getting?
Yeah, what did we get again?
What am I getting out of
Where's
this?
my plunder?
We are told that the other guys, like, if they could get back home, they would. Like, they would have deserted
Some of
and
them
gone
consider doing
home.
so, but they have no idea where the hell they are.
Yeah, they can't go home. So they're like, okay, we better just stay together. So, like, they just do.
But then what happens?
Well, they see something on the horizon. Maybe not even the horizon. They see something just, like, ahead of them. And it's just, like, a big, like, bank of fog.
It's in motion, coming toward them. And Files is like, I don't think that's fog. I think that's the breath of a wreck.
What?
So
Is that a dragon?
Actually,
so
pretty much.
when my general process is that before I take my notes and read it, I like listen to the audio book of it, which is free for anyone who wants it on like Apple Podcasts. You can just look up the book. But when they were reading it, they were like, "Oh, like the breath of Iraq," and I was like, "Iraq." I was like, "Iraq." Oh my god, yeah, of Arrakis. Yeah, but it was just I couldn't quite hear it, but it is the breath of a rack, R-A-K. That's how you spell it. It's a rack, and it is a terrible beast, and it's always hungry. And Files only knows about it because he's read his fucking storybooks, so like he knows like, oh, I've read about this, but interestingly, he's never seen a picture of one because the only book that he's read about it, he like picked it too early, so the picture was blurry because it wasn't like fully ripe or whatever.
And I'm like, why did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, he was probably just wanted a story. He didn't think it would matter.
He must read super fast like Glinda.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
he
I
has the
guess
same
it's a
stuff.
thing in Oz.
The rack is pretty scary. It can fly in the air. It can run as fast as a deer, and it can swim like a fish.
And its belly is a furnace, and it breathes in air and breathes out smoke.
What the?
It is bigger than 100 men, and it feeds on any living thing.
Yeah,
Um,
up to and including soldiers, probably.
they're
I'd
like,
assume.
we hate that. And Files is like, it's okay. It might not be a rack. And
Well, everything
Yeah.
you're saying seems like that's probably
Pretty
what
much.
it is.
Files keeps kind of going back to like, but you know, like I don't know, it could be fog. And then he's like, but if it is a rack, it can run like a deer, it can swim like a fish, and it flies like a dragon. And he's like, no, it is not a rack.
it's probably just fog.
Yeah.
Though I've never been wrong about racks before.
So something really interesting and important happens here
This actually angered me.
I agree with that. Well, but okay, I don't agree with that actually. No, explain yourself.
Okay, well, I'll explain in a moment. So Files mentions that since they're fairy people, like the rat can't kill them anyway, like they can't die. And they're like, oh, okay, so what will happen if it gets us?
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, well, it'll just chew us up, but the individual little chunks of us, those will live on forever.
So now we know, like for instance, if Ojo had been digested in that plant and was just stuck there forever, he would still be alive forever.
Every time it rains in Oz, the Wicked Witch of the East or the Wicked Witch of the West rains down on them.
Oh my god!
Oh my
yeah,
God.
she must still be alive
She's
unless
out
she
there.
murdered children.
She's out there.
But,
She tried.
yeah, she did. She did actually. But yeah, so it's crazy, and I'm glad to have this understanding though, because every time we talk about like, well, what happens this, what happens this, what happens da da da.
There's our
like,
answer.
Okay, great. You never die no matter what, even if you're chewed up and eaten.
If that plant sucked Ojo down to the size of a
God.
Tic Tac, he's still Ojo.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to live in Oz for that reason alone.
But the thing is, like, I mean, that's just it, man. You're gonna if you.
I'd
That's
be like
just it.
more.
Yeah.
I
You're
feel
gonna
like
live forever.
prison.
Yeah, I'm more afraid of danger in Oz than I am here.
Yeah, it would literally be like hell. Like you just
Yeah.
exist forever now.
It's
I guess
the good place.
you exist forever in heaven too. So, but anyway, it doesn't sound very fun. And Colonel Banjo is like, okay, like if you're a hamburger, you're a hamburger. Like whether you're alive or dead, that would suck. I don't want to be a hamburger. I don't want to be eaten and munched up. I don't want to be munched up, is what he says.
I don't want to be munched up either.
Yeah.
Either the fog, the mist, or the rack breath. It's getting closer and closer to them, and the private, the hell's his name? Files.
Yeah.
Is like, he's like, okay, like the only way we'll really be able to tell if that's fog or if it's a rack is by smelling it when it comes close, and if it smells like smoke from the furnace inside of the rack, then we know it's a rack.
Well,
if it doesn't
maybe
smell,
hide and then smell.
And that's probably there's nowhere to hide because it's a barren landscape. Yeah. But the weird thing is what they actually say is it will smell like salt and pepper. And I'm like,
oh,
salt
that is
and
right.
pepper?
Actually, it is salt and pepper.
So they did a little they did like a little coat. What is that when you like
A bait and switch.
when you do like with cast iron.
Oh,
they
season
seasoned
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They season that furnace.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's always seasoning his furnace. And it sounds like pretty good, honestly. I'm like, salt and pepper. That's not so bad, but would be annoying, I guess. Like,
I don't
if
know
it's
really
too
what salt smells like. Too
I
much.
know.
That's what
thinking the
I
same
was
thing.
kind of.
Maybe
I
salt
would
used to smell like
sneeze
something.
if pepper was in that air.
Well, they may or may not be sneezing because as the fog is creeping into them, it's covering them, and they're all like smelling, and they smell salt and pepper. Yeah.
Files screams, "A rat!"
Yeah.
It's confirmed.
And all the officers fall down moaning and screaming. They're all freaking out.
Run
They're
away
like as
or
if they've already been
something.
hit. Yeah. But yeah, exactly. Run away. That's what I would have been doing this whole time, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, but like we'll find out later. I
Yeah.
don't need to watch.
yeah, I don't need to watch.
Anne just like sits down ready to face her death. Files gets behind her and like loads up the gun and points it in the direction of the rack incoming.
Yeah. And the smoke at this point is so thick that they can't see anything.
No.
It is pitch black all around them,
And how big is this thing again?
the size of 100 men. So pretty damn big.
That's a lot of men.
Like, that's like
Yeah.
the size of a house.
Why is it always like that?
I know, yeah. And it flies, runs as fast as a deer, and can swim. So it's pretty crazy. But it is so dark right now. They can't see anything. The sky is like ink black. The sun is blacked out. There's nothing. But all of a sudden, like, Files sees these two glowing red orbs, like, making their way toward him through the smoke. And he has to make a decision.
He's like, those must be its eyes. So he aims toward them and fires.
And his gun had a few good bullets in it. They were bullets from trees probably around Oogaboo. But they fly and all of them strike the monster. And it's pretty gross.
Uh-oh.
He falls. He lands on the officers.
Yeah. And they begin screaming and writhing underneath him because he's the size of 100 men. And there's
Yeah.
only 16 of them.
And he's like, "Oh, what have you done with that gun? What did you shoot me with it for?"
Why is he?
Yeah.
That's the rack.
He does
Cockney.
he does ask why Files did that. And Files is like, "Hey, like, I can't see a thing. Like, I don't even know, like, what's up. Like, did I hurt you?"
The rack is like, "Hell yeah, you did. I don't know if you noticed, I sound funny, but I'm literally talking through gritted teeth because you shot me in the jaw and I
Yeah.
can't open my mouth."
One of the bullets broke his jaw right in half. So he has
Owie.
smashed up bone splinters. His teeth are fucked up.
Oh.
It must have maybe gotten his part of his throat.
Yeah.
He is like choking on blood. It's not good.
He's like, "You broke my left wing, so I can't fly."
Ugh. And probably like in the middle, it's like has an extra joint in it now, and it's all just like torn to ribbons.
He's like,
ribbons.
"And you broke my leg, so I can't like get
What?
up. I can't run."
How
Yeah.
did he shoot all of that?
It must have been a scatter shot.
Yeah, it's like a shotgun.
From afar, yeah. And it wasn't a musket, yeah. So, I mean, basically, if it has 3 shots in it,
Files
knows?
is like, "Sorry about that. Could you get up off my friends, or
yeah,
Is that too
because
much to
you're
ask?
crushing them. And the rack is like, "Oh, actually, like, I want to crush them. I would have already eaten them if my jaw wasn't fucking broken." And then he starts to roll back and forth on them and grind them
Oh
into the
my
earth.
god!
Yeah, he is just, like,
grinding them into the earth.
Grinding, and they're screaming and screaming, but then he rolls a little bit too far one way and like rolls off of them, and they all get up and like limp and run and crawl away, and they continue screaming.
you know. And
What the fuck?
Files is like, "Hey, got my friends back. Hey, good luck to you, Mr. Rack. Really sorry about like the way this all went.
Yeah, but you knew I
but
had to do
that
something.
was self-defense. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
it was self-defense.
Like you gotta understand. I'm sorry, but like you're not gonna eat us.
Yeah. And it's weird. It's interesting because the rack is like, "Well, I'm not gonna die here because I have a charmed life, but you can't leave either."
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that's what Files says. He's like, excuse me?"
Yeah.
And the rack is like, "Well, in like an hour, my jaw's gonna heal. My wing and my leg should heal in the next week or so. And once they do, I'm gonna eat you. It's the least you can do for hurting me.
Yeah, he feels like he deserves to eat Files, and it's just fair. And Files is like, well, I can understand that, but I actually have like pledged my word and bond to Queen Anne to conquer the world for her, and I can't be diverted just because you are fucking hungry.
The Rack is like, oh, I totally get it. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you like had a prior engagement. You don't have to stay. I'm sorry about that.
He's like, I won't detain you any further.
You just fucking cave that
It was
easy?
pretty easy. He has a broken jaw,
Like, oh,
wing.
you have a
and
duty
leg.
to your queen. My bad, dude.
My
I'm so
bad.
sorry.
Well,
But
I'm gonna say that in every little situation I'm in,
For real.
where someone tells me to stay.
I'm so sorry. I actually do have a duty to my queen.
yeah, we are
So
conquering
sorry.
the world. What are you gonna do, man? But Files finds the queen, though he kind of like he knows where she is, so he kind of like grabs around. He takes her hand, and it's still pitch black, and the fucking monster is still screaming. And they are just walking away from it, like going through the darkness. It gets a little lighter and a little lighter, and eventually they're out of the smoke. And they're like, "Okay, cool. Like, where is everybody?"
Yeah. They go up a little hill. They see the final rays of sunset. It's getting late. It's getting dark. But they find all the officers huddled together, afraid.
Yeah.
They all took off running from the Rack. And Anne is like, you know what? Y'all are fucking cowards. My boy Files here fought for me. That's sick. She's like,
Because he had a gun.
He had a
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah.
No one else had a gun.
Yeah, that's fair. And that is fair. But Anne is like, whatever. Like, General Clock says the officers were wise for running because now they could help Anne. And if they were foolish, like fucking Files, maybe they all would have gotten killed. And it's like, well, maybe.
So
They're
when
the
you
only
But he
ones-
didn't.
They're the only ones who got crushed by a dragon.
Yeah, I know.
Seriously.
I'm like, just like, you don't even need to say anything.
Yeah, just say sorry.
Thank
Yeah.
you for your service. Let's keep going.
But they basically, that is honestly what they do, because they just rest for a minute because they're all fucking exhausted. But what I mean really is like they're all just like traumatized, so they just
Yeah.
kind of like debrief for a minute, have like a trust circle, and then they're like, okay, we got to keep on going into the valley.
Yeah. They go in the valley a ways, and once they feel like they're safe and out of Rack's reach, they decide it's time to set up camp.
So all the officers in their pocket have a little white tent, or I think it's white, maybe it was canvas, but they can take it out of their pocket and they set it up, and it grows into a big normal sized tent with a
Give me
hammock.
that.
It's just like the one the wizard had or made out of those handkerchiefs when they got lost a couple books ago.
Just like that.
I'll take that.
Yeah. But Files, on the other hand, has a knapsack, so basically just a backpack. So Files in this backpack has a tent, but he also has an entire pavilion for the queen, which includes a bed, a chair, and a magic table. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. The pavilion is just a big room, and it has lots of space, bed, etc., changing room, and the bed and chair are like blow-ups. The magic table, when it's unfolded, it grows into a huge big table, and it has a drawer that has all of her extra clothes in it. And it also has her toiletries. So she has her
What?
little makeup pads
Give
and
me all of
yeah,
those.
I know, I wish. And it has all of her extra little beverages because she's a 3-bevy girl.
She's a
Oh,
three-baby
love
girl,
her.
For
Yeah.
sure. That night, Anne proudly flies the flag of Oogaboo,
Mhm.
which is her claiming that they conquered the territory.
Us on
Um,
Mars.
Yeah, we did it. All of you are conquered.
And she likes the way it looks flying out there. You know, the Oogaboos have never left Oogaboo. So, I mean, I guess they're not called Oogaboos. Well,
They are.
Oogabooians.
They're Oogaboos.
But, no, they are. They're
No, they're
Oogaboos.
Oogaboos. We're calling Oogaboos. It's fine to call them Oogaboos.
But yeah, nobody, like, the flag of Oogaboo has never been flown anywhere else, and Anne's pretty cool with that.
Yeah, she's proud.
But despite the perilous encounter, Anne's army continues its journey, determined to conquer the world.
And that is the end of chapter 3. Magic mystifies the marchers. And Hannah, what would you call that?
Oh
the
my
hell?
God.
I did it on accident.
Dragon!
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 4, Betsy Braves the Billows. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingen. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.
Last time on Oz Hour.
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, we meet Ojo and Unk Nunky, and they're starving. They got no more bread, they got no more butter, they got no more anything. And so they go on a journey to just find more civilization, I think. And they go to the mountains where they meet the Crooked Magician and Margot Lot. And they are all together and meeting and doing things. And then all of a sudden, Margot and fucking, what's his name? Unk Nunk, he gets frozen solid from stuff. And then, and it's because the Patchwork Girl, she gets born. And she not only gets born, but she gets born with a lot of extra stuff because fucking Ojo's a dumbass. And then that's how we lost Unk Nunk and Margot Lot. And so they decide we need to get all these things to help them not be like this so we can do a magic thing. And so they go on the journey. They just go on the fucking journey, okay? It's Glass Cat. It's not Margot. She's dead. Or she's not dead. But it's Glass Cat. It's Patchwork Girl. It's Ojo. And I think that's it. Yeah, it's the three of them. I think. Okay, moving on. They're going and they find a house where there's like a ghost voice that kicks Patchwork out. And then they meet she's out and she sees the wolf and there's a breakfast that gets eaten but doesn't actually get eaten. And then they're going and they meet, the phonograph. He is a mess and no one likes him. And so we're just not even going to talk about him anymore, but he does show up several other times. And we're going, they meet, is it the Wise Owl now and the donkey? Yeah, they do that. They meet him. They say all their little jumbo and then they continue forward and then they meet the Woozy, right? Yeah, the Woozy, and they want to take his hairs, but they're like, oh, it's too hard, we can't take it off. And so then they get out of there with his fire eyes or fire breath, something fire, and they go, and then they get eaten up by plants. And then Shaggy Man saves them. And then what else happens? Oh my god. I have 30 seconds left. What do? They are going, they meet the Shaggy Man. They Emerald City. And he steals the 6 clover. And then she puts him in jail. Then they get out of jail because of a trial. We meet Dorothy, and then Dorothy and other people. Shaggy who's on the trip now? It's Dorothy, Scarecrow. Oh yeah, he's here. Patchwork Girl, and anyway, we continue. We're going, and then we go to the mountain, and we get I'm just skipping to the end with the dark well, and then we meet the hoppers and the horners, and then we go. Where do we go after that? Oh yeah, now we're back to the last chapter that I just fucking said. So I'm just gonna end it there.